should go back to work. I think some critics will say this is mixed messaging, but the government's in a difficult position saying, look, there is a big threat still from the virus, and yet we still need to get the economy back to as much of a normal as we possibly can.
Ellie Price, thank you very much.
Chadwick Boseman, the actor who was best known for playing the lead role in the Black Panther film, has died from cancer at the age of 43. We can speak to our reporter in Los Angeles, David Willis. David, I mean, this was an actor who made a very big impression. It's such sad news, and it's come as a surprise to many people.
It has indeed, Charlie, and he was already a considerable star here in Hollywood, but he was a man seen as having enormous potential in the film industry, having signed a 5-picture deal with Marvel to play Black Panther. That was a film that was a breakthrough in many ways here, not least because it had a predominantly black crew and cast. It was also the first superhero movie to be nominated for a Best Picture Oscar. But in April of this year, there was video of Mr. Boseman on social media in which he looked quite thin, and that prompted speculation from some, because he had never talked about his treatment for colon cancer, that he might be preparing for some sort of film role and losing weight because of that. It's emerged since that he filmed some of his most famous roles, the roles for which he will be best remembered, whilst undergoing surgeries and chemotherapy.
David, for the moment, thank you very much.
Police in Australia will start beach patrols today to enforce coronavirus restrictions as lifeguards return to duty at the end of winter. Warm weather is expected in Sydney to draw large crowds to the coast. Authorities at Bondi and other popular beaches are warning people to stay a towel length apart and to limit gatherings to 20 people.
A military dog who was shot and injured during a British Special Forces raid in Afghanistan is to be awarded the animal equivalent of the Victoria Cross.
This is Kuno, a Belgian Shepherd Malinois, was on a night raid when he charged through a hail of gunfire to tackle an Al-Qaeda insurgent. Now, he was wounded in both his hind legs, had to be given life-saving treatment, and he'll be awarded the Dickin Medal later this year.
Let's see, time now is 6:08. We'll have a quick look at some of the front pages on the Saturday papers for you right now. And we'll start with the Times newspaper, leading with that interview we mentioned a moment ago, actually, the Health Secretary Matt Hancock, warning that England could face nationwide restrictions and extensive local lockdowns if there is a second wave of coronavirus this winter.
The Guardian's got an investigation into the online clothes retailer Boohoo. That's on their front page this morning. It says that audits suggest at least 18 factories making clothes for the brand in Leicester have failed to prove they pay minimum wage. Boohoo said the documents are a selection of commentary from a limited number of third-party audits that have been completed.
And The Hollywood Reporter leads on tributes being paid to Black Panther actor Chadwick Boseman, who's died from cancer. And we'll be talking about that more in a few minutes' time. Many tributes being paid today to an actor who many people said had an extraordinary future ahead of him.
That film is absolutely phenomenal as well, and there'll be a whole generation of children who will have been brought up watching that, and it will have transformed perhaps their view of what was formerly a very white Hollywood, really culturally significant.
Yeah, let's talk about it a little more now. Joined from Los Angeles by the entertainment reporter Sandro Manetti. Very good morning to you, Sandro. Yeah, lovely to see you there. Now, you know, we were just discussing in the studio, Chadwick Boseman was an actor who'd made such a big impression, and so many people talking about what lay ahead and the impact that an actor like that was going to have.
One of my favourite tributes to him in the last few minutes comes from his Avengers co-star Mark Ruffalo, who said on Twitter his greatness was just beginning. And he had an uncanny ability to portray greatness on screen when you look at his breakthrough role as Jackie Robinson, the baseball player who broke the color barrier. He also played Thurgood Marshall, the first black Supreme Court justice. He played icons like James Brown. And so this combination of dignity and dynamism that he had made him perfect to play Black Panther. And it was a movie which did so much better than everybody expected, and took $1.3 billion at the international box office. It changed the industry. It created a hero to a new generation, and so much more ahead for him, including Black Panther 2, which was due to start filming in early 2021.
Sandro, talk to us a little bit about his illness, because often with Hollywood stars or big stars, we feel like we know arguably too much about their lives. But it would appear from what I'm hearing this morning that there wasn't much known about how he was in the run-up to his death.
He kept his personal life very quiet. The reports say, oh, he's survived by his wife, Taylor. No one in Hollywood knew they were married. They only got engaged last October, and there'd certainly been no announcement. So he was, for someone who was so public as a Marvel star, he was a very private figure, and he'd chosen to keep his cancer diagnosis secret, as had Kelly Preston, who passed away from breast cancer just a few weeks ago. She was the wife of John Travolta, of course, and he was able to work from 2016 right through to 2020, last on screen in Da 5 Bloods, the Netflix film directed by Spike Lee, all in between chemotherapy and hospital appointments. And yes, what a remarkably brave figure he was. Those who were closest to him knew how brave he was being. The world had no idea.
And tell us a little more about the tributes that have come in, because he was only 43. I mean, in itself, it's a tragedy, isn't it? But many people have been affected by the news this morning.
From the movie world and the sports world as well, his death was announced on Jackie Robinson Day. And what that is, it's when all baseball games in America pay tribute to Jackie Robinson, the player who broke the color barrier, by wearing his number 42 on their shirts. And sports figures as well as movie stars have joined in the tributes, most of his Avengers colleagues. And I was lucky enough to interview him 3 times. And such a quiet dignity. He certainly wasn't as bombastic as a lot of movie stars, and it made you understand why he was such a great choice to play icons, because he carried himself in both a modest and a regal way, if that makes any sense. And he's gone at such a terribly young age, but I think the legacy he leaves and the doors that he's thrown open for heroes in Hollywood, his impact will be felt for a very long time.
Sandro, good to speak to you this morning. Thank you very much, and for those tributes as well. Sandro Manetti just talking to us about the news this morning. It's been announced that Chadwick Boseman, who's 43 years old, actor, has died from cancer.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.